Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Mindset-Conquest Podcast, where every week I'll be joined by a special guest who will be sharing what they've experienced as the biggest failure in their life, but most importantly, the lessons that they've learned from that experience. I'll be spending time with people that I've met throughout my life's journey in business, music, and sport. And the goal is to provide listeners like yourselves with the motivation needed to get through all of life's challenges and learn not to be afraid of failure, but rather to embrace it. Please like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. I'm Chris Atwell. On today's episode, I'm joined by Duane D.O. Gibson. D.O. is a rapper, an author, a professional speaker, and a music executive. He set a Guinness World Record for the longest freestyle rap ever at 8 hours and 45 minutes. He's coordinated tours for himself and his artists in Asia, Europe, United States, and all over Canada. He's the co-founder of the Northern Power Summit, an urban music conference based in Toronto. And as a professional speaker, he's spoken at over 2,500 schools through his Stay-Driven program. He just released his new book on this grind, and he's been profiled on CBC, CTV, MTV, and the Toronto Star. Welcome to the Mindset-Conquest Podcast. I'm joined today by a very special guest, Duane D.O. Gibson. Duane, how you doing, man?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. I'm great. Thank you very much. Yeah, real busy day, but enjoying myself, especially when I get to talk to guys like you. So, Duane, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what your profession is?
So my rap name is D.O., which stands for Defy the Odds. And that's kind of the story I tell, whether it's rapping, I put that in my songs, whether it's speaking. I do a lot of public speaking engagements, especially to kids in schools. So telling kids to defy the odds and overcome obstacles. And recently I released a book, my second book on this grind. I've also put on a music conference with my man Atwell, the Northern Power Summit, as I see you sipping from the mug. So I like to do a lot of different things, but it really all comes down to hip hop and giving a positive message.
Amazing. How long have you been rapping for, man?
I've been doing it for over 20 years. So
Amazing.
2001 was the first year I put out a professional recording. So now it's a little bit over 20 years since we're in 2022. So that was a big way to signal coming into the game when you come out with your first professional recording, as I'm sure you can relate to. It's not just freestyling and hanging out with your boys anymore. You're taking it serious.
Absolutely. And the game has changed a lot in 20 years. You know, what kind of changes have you seen since releasing your first album in 2001 to now?
There's so many differences, right? I mean, you think about how the music gets to someone, where we would physically have to go out to a CD store to buy the CD, or you'd have to get it mailed to you. And or as the rapper, I'd take CDs and try to sell them hand by hand. And those are aspects of it that, I mean, I don't miss not having to try to search for a CD for hours when I could just download it. But I do miss those days of selling CDs and more concerts, that those things would happen, because that's a way that an independent artist can make some money, especially in a day where streaming pays really not that much, especially for artists on the come up.
Right. Absolutely. And you mentioned you do motivational speaking for schools. How many schools have you, or I guess, like, how many talks have you done for schools over the years since you started doing that?
I've done over 2,500 shows.
2,500. Wow.
2,500. So yeah, a lot of years I do between 125 to 200 shows. And so, but at the same time, when I go to a school, I might do 2 shows at a school. I might do something for kindergarten to grade 3, the 4-year-olds, the 8-year-olds, and then take it from the 4 to 8s, the 9 to 14-year-olds too. So, and then I might go to school and do that in the afternoon. So I'll do 4 shows in the day.
Wow. Amazing. And what kind of things are you sharing with the students at these schools?
Yeah, I really like to focus on different things that relate to mental health. So whether it's anti-bullying and how to stand up for yourself, and also having an outlet, whether for me it's rap, but encouraging kids to have that hobby, especially during COVID. whether it's playing a musical instrument or athletics. So I think that's really important. And then I speak a lot about Black Canadian history as well. So I have a passion for that.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure the kids look up to you in many ways. And I'm certain that a lot of these kids actually become fans of your rap music. Have you noticed that? What kind of response did you get, like from visiting these schools and then, kids following you around from a music perspective?
Yeah, I think it's kind of selfish in a way for me to say it, because anytime you like going out to schools because you're giving back to the community, you're connecting with youth, but at the same time, it hits you when you realize you're making lifelong fans. So it's cool to hear like a kid come up to you and say like, you're the best rapper I've ever heard of. Like, I'm your biggest fan. And those are things that really they'll hit you and make you want to keep on going and pursue it. And, when you hear back from kids on Instagram and fans like that on social media, sometimes somebody will say that I came to their school 15 years ago, but they're still a fan and they're still a fan. So I think that's really cool. And to me, like I said, I think that's what it's about, is having longevity in the game. So I'm glad that I'm still driven.
Hey, good for you, man. Good driven. For you. Yes. Yeah. No, that's amazing to hear. So the premise of this podcast really is to provide listeners with motivation, something you're no stranger of, and help people work through life's challenges by having guests on the show to share what their biggest failure is. And the reason for that is that if we can let people know that, hey, everybody has failures in life, and actually not be afraid of failures, but understand that failure is part of the path to success and that they should embrace it. Hopefully we can help people get through life more effectively, more efficiently, and far more fulfilled. So I'm going to ask you, what is D.O.'s biggest failure in life? What do you consider your biggest failure?
Trying to fail. The two things I hate. Succeed in this rap game. The two things that's great. Words by Jay-Z, right? So, this question has me thinking because, for me, I don't really look at having one moment in my life where I failed. Like, it wasn't like, just that crushing, overwhelming defeat, in life. But I think it's kind of a series of things. So I got an email this afternoon from my man, Kyle Kraft. And Kyle Kraft used to run Battle Axe Music and big label in Canada, booking agent, manager. And it reminded me of when I went out to Vancouver, and that would have been about 14 years ago because it was in January. So I think that would be my biggest failure. Was not just that one day, but to me, what it represents is my failure was I wanted to really tour and make that my primary source of income, clubs and universities and colleges.
Okay.
And going out, and I went out to Vancouver that time and I failed because I had an opportunity to open up for Classified. So that was a great opportunity to perform again, strengthen the bond because I toured with them the last summer. I had a chance to impress Kyle Kraft, who had been booking a lot of independent hip hop groups all throughout BC and abroad. And I had a chance to open up for Mr. Lift as well. So that was another big hip hop artist from the States. So there's three great things that could happen. And the shows went all good. But I didn't book any shows after that for money. Or that it wasn't like, it never really connected to make it financially worth it. I had to pay for that flight to Vancouver. I didn't get paid for the shows. And I was hoping that, maybe Classified takes me on the road and I get paid, or I'm selling CDs that night. And that didn't happen. And I was hoping Kyle Kraft would help me book shows, and we started working together, but it didn't really happen dramatically. And opening for Mr. Lift, it was cool, but there wasn't a lot of people at the show and it didn't make money. So, but that is kind of the way I've seen a lot of what I've done in hip hop go, that I wanted to be able to tour those clubs and be able to tour colleges and universities, and I failed. I wasn't able to do it.
Man, as a young artist, really trying to make it your full-time gig thinking that you're going to make all this money. That must have been, real devastating. How did you react when that happened? What was your initial response, I guess, when everything didn't work out?
Frustration is the big thing, I think. And I mean, there's so many hip hop artists, I guess, and musicians that just go through it too. It's like you put in so much energy into these things and you're hoping it's going to pay off. And so there's just a huge letdown where you almost don't want to do it again, because it's not just a fear of failure, but you just don't want to have to put yourself on the line emotionally,
right,
for everything too. And then it's kind of like in hip hop, especially, the music teaches us it's all about, persevering and going for it. And, you got your plan A. There's kind of that alpha in it. So you don't want to think of alternatives either.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody likes to get stung. Not only once, but twice is even worse, right? So it's like, you gotta be prepared for that. You gotta be prepared for that. So then what? This happens to you. It's a blow to your mindset. You're wondering, okay, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to fail again. What did you learn from that experience?
I just learned to get up and do it again.
There you go.
Because even as you're saying it, I'm thinking it through my mind of I've learned that I think you get used to learning through emotions or the cycle, and you can spot it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it's really important to journal, because I look back at the stuff that I've written down over the years of, okay, so, this CD came out. I did a big CD release party. It didn't go as well as I wanted. How did I feel after that? To think about, sure, I was upset for the first 2 weeks, but then I was like, okay, time to plan another one.
Right.
And to me, that's what it's all about is, so to take it to that original story with Vancouver, sure, I wasn't getting paid a lot for shows, but Kyle Kraft was helping me get on the road with DL Incognito in a few months. And then we did a tour in the summertime with Sweatshop Union, which was a great opportunity. So I always looked at it as keep on doing things that get you further ahead.
So, yes, you failed. It didn't work out as planned. It stung. You thought, hey, I don't want to do this again. But then after some thought, you picked yourself up and you kept working at it, and you kept working at it. And what advice would you give somebody who is experiencing that? A young artist who's trying to get on a tour, who's connecting with all these tour managers and industry executives, and they think, yeah, you know what, this is my ticket. But they keep getting, roadblocks along the way. Mm-hmm. And maybe their ego, their motivation is declining. What kind of advice would you give a person like that?
You got to ask yourself how much you want it, and what you're willing to do to get there. Because I think, especially if we're specifically talking music or whatever your passion is, it's like, it's got to be that love to go through that pain and to keep on doing it again. But the practical answer is to keep on trying different opportunities to get out there. Because when you look at success stories, like some artists have had it the same way, but there's so many different ways to succeed. Whether it's some guys will throw up their music on SoundCloud and all of a sudden it catches on, or, you do a TikTok freestyle and it works. Or you showcase at this music conference and something happens out of it. So I think it's all about just keeping on trying it and trying the same things again and again, because it's like with music, Royce the 5'9" talked about being one hit away, which I talk about in the book. And so it's like, you just have to keep on releasing music, and maybe one time it will hit. And so I think you just got to keep on trying those same things. But you have to try the new things, whether it's learning new technology like TikTok, or try new things like going to a music conference in a place you've never been to try to make more contacts.
I love it. So what are the best resources that you've found in your career that have helped you along the way?
Yeah, like I could turn behind me and say books, and books are a great resource. I mean, even earlier tonight, I was reading Raekwon's book. Raekwon came out with a book. Yeah. And I wasn't sure how I'd like it, but I like it because it feels like you're really listening to him. Maybe he does the audio book too, which will be incredible because Prodigy's audio book out this world from Mobb Deep.
Right.
But I love reading those books because you're getting those stories from artists from that personal level of what they are going through, what they were feeling when these things were happening, whether it's those successes or the failures, but you're also getting the business lessons. So I love reading, whether it's autobiographies like that or reading, all you need to know about the music business. And then finally, my other resource is just people, because that's why I love going to a music conference. You're getting the opportunity to be around your peers, people from around your community, maybe from your country in some cases. And then you're getting a chance to meet new people and see what the new trends are going on in different places. And you're able to have mentors. And I think tapping into all of those is an incredible resource.
Absolutely. And what about in today's climate? I hate to bring it up, but you and I were talking beforehand, and it sounds like the Grammys are being postponed. Midem is no longer. A lot of these conferences are struggling because of this pandemic that we're dealing with right now. What do you suggest in that case? If a lot of these conferences aren't happening, what can people do?
Yeah, I think what we've learned is that you can still keep connections with people, whether it's attending a virtual conference, it's one thing, but having virtual connections with friends. And I mean, I'm a big fan of the hype call. So it's like, getting in touch with people, not for a specific purpose. Like you're not calling because I need an answer for this or I want something for you, but just reconnecting with friends, because that's kind of what you'd see in the old life. Just bumping into people or going out for lunch with them. So I think it's really important to connect, and social media can be good in the sense that you can try new ways to get out there and build a new audience. But one thing I'm finding lately, and it's not like I made it a resolution, but is taking these AirPods out my ears. And what I mean by that is I think we spend so much time listening to things nowadays. I love podcasts. So like I've got a podcast on when I'm doing the dishes or when I'm driving, but sometimes it's good to take them out. Because especially if you're a creative or a business person, like I took a walk in nature in the forest a couple of days ago. And, when you don't have your headphones in, your mind's being creative. You're thinking, I'm thinking song ideas or book ideas or conference ideas. Whereas if I was listening to an audio tape or audio book or a podcast, I wouldn't necessarily be thinking that way. And so I think a lot of us need to kind of, just get away from the headphones sometimes. And I'm guilty of it.
No, that's a great piece of advice. I recently read a book from some Tibetan monk. I forget his name. It's a Vietnamese name or something like, Southeast Asian. And it's called Silence. Wish I could remember his name. I'll have to pull it up and I'll share it with people afterwards. But the premise is that we don't spend enough time in silence anymore. We're always distracted, whether it be by podcasts, television, Spotify playlists, Zoom calls, all of these things that if you just take a second, even when you're eating, to enjoy the food for what it is, rather than rush and look at your phone while you're eating, or go for a walk in the woods with no phone. So much creativity and peace can be found in your own mind by doing so, because we don't take enough time for ourselves. So I really appreciate that piece of advice. I agree with you there for sure. All right, big question for you. Who are the 3 people in your life who have had the most influence on Duane?
Oh, getting deep on me, right? So, I mean, I got to go with my parents having an influence on me for sure. I was fortunate enough to grow up with 2 parents, and we moved around a few times. So when you move, as you know, from moving is, you it's great when you have a chance to bond with your parents in that one sense, because, you know, you don't have anyone else around. We didn't have cousins or aunts and uncles around. So it was the three of us as an only child.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, if I had to think somebody professionally, I'd have to go with Maestro Fresh West. And it's been great having him as a mentor for me over the last 20 plus years, really. So I think the thing with him is that he paved the way in the sense that not just coming out with his first songs, but he's 10 years older than me. So what I felt was like when I was 28 and I'm hanging out with him when he's 38, I'm seeing like, maybe I can be a rapper when I'm 38. Because like not too long ago, that wasn't even like considered an option. Like
right.
Nobody's rapping at 38. So, and then I'm 35 and he's 45 type of thing. So I definitely think he'd have a big influence on my life. And I guess the third one, you know, I'll say my Uncle Sonny, who I talk about on my new album as well. So I think he had an influence on my life because, you know, he really valued family, and he always was generous with his time. And I think sometimes with what I learned from that is kind of what you're saying with silence. Is it's not so much about everything that we were talking about. It, you know, we weren't distracted by just watching TV, but just having a good time together. I mean, I had a lot of silence with him one time, and we went to Newfoundland from Sydney on a ferry.
Okay.
And it takes like 8 hours to get there. We had to get there at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So of course we had to get there like 5 up at 4. And then we got to Newfoundland. You know what we did? Turned right around and came back. We didn't even get off the boat. He just wanted to show me the ferry. So I was playing video games back then, getting quarters to play in the arcade, but there's only so much arcade games you can play. You know, it costs money. So I remember there was a lot of silence that trip, just sitting, watching the water. But at the same time, I appreciate that now looking back. I didn't have to be on my phone the whole time for something like that. So,
how long is that ferry ride?
Yeah, I think it's about 8 hours. So it was like 16 hours. So it's like, yeah, we got there really early and then we came back and it was like midnight or 2 in the morning. So
that's incredible. That's incredible. Wow. Hey, I would imagine that's a long ride. So, you know, I'm really into habits and routines, and I believe that good habits are the cornerstone to someone's success, right? If you can get good habits on autopilot, they're going to help you with your peak performance and be the best version of yourself. And certain routines as well can really set you up for success in your day. So I want to ask you, what are some of the good habits that you practice and why?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I really learned it from Robin Sharma. Did you ever read Robin Sharma and see that? He speaks.
I haven't read it.
Okay. I've been following him for a long time. And one of the things he's a big fan of is the 5 a.m. club.
Right.
And he always breaks down, you know, things you should do. So I kind of took it from him. I still don't believe in getting up at 5 in the morning, but I like my sleep. But I try to get up early, and I try to do a few different things. Whether one of the things I'll do in the morning is drink water to hydrate myself. Mm-hmm. And then I want to do 10 to 20 minutes of exercise. It's usually low impact exercise. I might do yoga. I've got a treadmill, so I was just walking on an incline today. I've got this beach body boxing thing too. So some days I'm doing 1-2s, but just kind of to warm up my body. And then I like to meditate for 10 minutes. So while I'm meditating, I'm putting on the kettle so I can have my hot lemon and honey ready for me so I can read for 10 to 15 minutes. And I read off my Kindle, get some books on there. And then I like to journal for another 10 or 15 minutes. So it takes me close to an hour. And what I always notice, though, is that I find I'm always more productive the days that I do that morning routine. And, you know, having that time for myself, and also knowing that, you know, if I can't get to the gym or can't do a workout, I did something. You know, I started my day off in that positive note. So I like having that routine in place. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of morning routines, and you know, yours is very similar to mine. It's quite interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, get up, drink water, stretch, workout. meditate, read, and journal. And I never journaled until last year in 2021. I wasn't big on journaling, and I'm really inspired by you by saying, hey, you've been journaling for years and you like to go back and reflect on some of those moments in your life. And now that's one of the things I wish I'd have done, because I'm sure there's a lot of gold in there. But now that I'm journaling in the morning, it's a great way to just download a lot of information that you might have going through your head. We talk about silence, that can help add clarity to your day so you can be more productive. So I'm happy to hear you doing that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also like, I was reading this other book about the happiness equation. And he was talking about how it's about replaying events in your mind too. That puts you in a better state of mind. Just thinking about things that you've done and reliving those successes, I think sets you up for more success. Yeah.
There's this ideology called cyber cybernetics or psycho-cybernetics, one or the other, kind of a tongue twister. And it's the same concept where, you can think about positive memories in your meditation in the morning. And that positive memory is going to set you up with, some real great vibes for the day, because you're going to remember things like your successes and, the happy times that you had, rather than wake up and drag your feet off the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah,
what was that book called? That was called the success of
the happiness equation.
The happiness equation. I gotta look that
Neil Pariska, I think how you spell it. He's the guy who did 1,000 Awesome Things.
Okay. Yeah.
Where he documents an awesome thing every day, or
Very cool.
It's the book of awesome. Yeah. He did a second book. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've now, speaking of books, you've written 2 books.
That's right.
Yeah. What are the titles of the books? Where can people find them?
We got Stay Driven right up there. That's my first book. So that's more of a book for young adults, life lessons that I speak about when I go to schools. And the other one is On This Grind, which are life lessons from the music business.
Amazing.
And so you can find the books at my website, imdogibson.com, or at imdogibson on Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat. You can find it all there.
So I am D.O. Gibson, folks. That's where you're going to find all information about Duane D.O. Gibson. Duane, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today, man. Thank you very much for sharing part of your journey and giving advice to the listeners. We really appreciate it, man. I hope you have yourself a great day.
Oh, yeah. Pleasure's all mine. Thanks, brother.
Right. Take care.
Yeah.